Okay, good morning, everybody. So we've talked about the causes of the Revolutionary War. We've talked about the Enlightenment philosophers that ended up kind of influencing our founding fathers. Now we're going to see kind of what all that comes down to. So after all the stuff that the British did, the Coercive Acts, the Townshend Acts, all those things, eventually enough people in America pretty much make up their minds that it is time for us to form our own country. And to do that, they write essentially a formal letter to Great Britain telling the British that they are no longer going to be part of their country. This was a rebellious act. It would be a lot like someone now in America, like a state, deciding that they didn't want to be part of the U.S. anymore and formally trying to remove themselves from it. The people in America knew that this would be treated in a hostile way. They knew that Britain wasn't just going to let them leave. They knew that this meant that a war would be fought. The people who signed this declaration knew that they had essentially committed treason, and that if they were defeated, it could potentially mean that they might die as a result of this. So, therefore, they wanted this document to be very clear in why they were leaving, and to give good reason for why they're doing what they're doing. So below you have the actual Declaration of Independence, and you can see that I've color coded it. I've color coded it into sections. You've got the preamble, which is like the introduction in blue. Um, this green section is kind of where they're talking about what people's rights are. It's kind of like I think we'll title it "New Theory of Government" when I go over this later. But they're going to talk about the social contract in here. This stuff will be a lot of familiar stuff that you've read with Enlightenment philosophers. After that, you kind of have a list of grievances. Essentially, they're saying here, these are all the reasons why we're upset with the king. And then finally, at the very bottom, you kind of have their formal Declaration of Independence. This is where they say, we're going to be our own country. So what you are going to do, got a couple different jobs. So the big thing is we are going to take this document and we're going to write it out in our own words. So what this looks like is essentially you taking every paragraph and writing that to this side in a way, in the way that you would say it. If you were going to say what they're saying in your own words, if you were writing this, how would you say it? And I know that seems daunting, seems like a lot, but I think this document is not quite as big as it looks. It looks really huge because it's in this one column. It's not that long. And I'm going to let you work together. You can have a group of 4 working through this. If you want, you can kind of split it up. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't read through it first on your own. You definitely should, to get kind of the whole picture. But I'm going to let you work with other people. Like I said, you can be 4 members in the group, and you'll just write your translations to the side. And remember, write your group members up here. You're still going to need to turn this in on your own. So you can work together. You can put the stuff in. Just make sure you turn in your own copy. That way I don't have to hunt for each group. And then at the bottom, there are a couple of other questions. And I think it might be helpful to annotate for these questions. So we're going to look through, since we've been looking at Enlightenment philosophers, we want to see if we can find where their ideas are. And we also want to see, like, what are the radical pieces of this document. We're looking to see, was this revolution a radical revolution where we saw a lot of change? And remember, to an extent, there is a lot of change. Britain has, their monarchy has become more limited as time goes on, even by the 1770s. But the world pretty much consists of monarchies. There are monarchies everywhere. What these guys are proposing is pretty much an abolishment. They're saying we're going to do away with this monarchy. We're going to rule ourselves. That in itself, in some ways, is kind of a revolutionary idea. So I want to see if we can spot where is the radical stuff in this document. Where's the stuff where they're saying they're going to do government in an entirely different way than it's been done before? So that's a question. What ideas here are revolutionary? Where do you see the thinking of Enlightenment philosophers, and provide an example? I think you need to look in this paragraph, just giving you a hint. It's going to have a lot of that stuff. And then finally, which which Enlightenment philosopher do you think had the greatest influence on this document? Whose ideas do you see the most, and tell me why? And essentially, that is the assignment. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to have at least one Zoom meeting. I'm planning on having a Zoom meeting at 1. If I hear from people and they say they'd like to have one earlier, that's fine. But that Zoom meeting, I'm going to read through this out loud. I'll annotate a little bit along the way, and I'll answer questions that you might have about the document. So if you need help kind of getting through this document, understanding some things, that would be probably a good thing for you to attend. Otherwise, I'm going to let you do this work on your own. Remember to write your group members up here. Let me know if you have questions, and I will go over this in detail tomorrow. But I want you to read through it first, kind of make sure you're familiar with it, get a good idea of what's going on. That's it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.